Honestly, I hated Solo Leveling. And in this video, I'm going to show you how another anime, Sakamoto Days, make me rethink how I viewed Solo Leveling. But to do that, we're going to have to start at the beginning. Hey, I made this new thing. Look, whoa, I'm this guy. Haha. Are you shocked that I'm this guy? Yeah, for now I think it's pretty solid. In the comments below, let me know what you prefer. My dumb mug, this thing, or the PNG tuber thing. Anyway, let's get into the video. Season 1. Before the anime even aired, Solo Leveling was already being hailed as the next big thing. The manga was a massive hit, and fans and many of my own friends were convinced that the manhwa would make an amazingly hype anime. The announcement for an anime adaptation by A1 Pictures only put fuel on said hype. But great hype comes with expectations. Fans expected god-tier animation, god-tier direction, and an adaptation that would elevate the source material. Things didn't go completely as planned. A1 Pictures is no stranger to delivering stunning visuals. Just look at Sword Art Online. But even just look at some parts of Solo Leveling Season 1 itself. And to be fair, some of these moments were just objectively fantastic. But not everything was consistent. There was a lot of static shots, some choppy sequences, and movement where it felt like the anime was just holding back. This led to some fight scenes lacking the same impact as they did in the manhwa. Further examples of how expectations can hurt the perception of an adaptation. But then there's the pacing of Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling Season 1 adapted roughly the first 50 chapters of the webtoon, or manhwa. But it often felt like it was either being rushed through content or dragging certain moments out too far. It didn't always hit the same satisfying progression that the readers of the manhwa had come to expect. Reading a comic as an individual, you get to choose the pace. The anime, however, has to show more or less everything, and that simply adds a lot more runtime to the material. However, I didn't read the manhwa, but I still got my own problems with it. I'm an avid hater of stories that offer nothing new to me as a viewer. With exceptions, of course, right? Black Clover is like peak, but it's also the worst thing I've ever watched at the same time. Not to say that something that offers nothing new to me is inherently bad. For example, when I watched my first sports anime, Kuroko Basket, it would affect how I would feel about the next anime that shared many of the same themes, Haikyuu. These anime tell a very similar style of story, but just like your first hit of caffeine at 12 years old, the first time always hits the best, at least for the narrative beats, even if I personally think that Haikyuu is better simply just overall. But I swear, Solo Leveling was designed to make me feel conflicted. The initial premise of the young man, talentless, doing everything he possibly can to provide for his little sister, for one, is just a compelling ass character. But however, they immediately double back on that fact. Instead of telling us a tale of struggle, they tell us a tale of no obstacles. I understand he has an overall goal to save his mother from that point forward. However, that's a goal, it's not an obstacle. His power actively moves him in the direction of saving his mother. The small character development we get with side characters is quickly forgotten, as many of the characters we've seen in Season 1 do not appear within the second season. So needless to say, I felt somewhat betrayed. Not to mention, fundamentally, the first season plays out just like an isekai. Our protagonist gains an unfathomably strong ability and travels to other worlds to fight monsters and grow stronger, actively abandoning the original grounded story for an uncreative power trope of a story. This fact is being further displayed by a game UI that I despise in every single medium it's ever used in. To me, it's a choice that is supposed to make the ability relatable to us gamers, but at most it's a MacGuffin for lazy plot progression. Regardless, it comes across to me always as pandering. So needless to say, I didn't intend to watch the rest of the anime. But then I watched another anime, and honestly, it helped change my view. Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days is just another anime that went through a very similar situation. The adaptation of the anime was despised by a lot of manga readers. Although the art style and sound design, setting and themes were all perfect, there was one thing in recent years that has been demanded unrealistically from every anime, and that is the supreme levels expected in animation. When there's studios like MAPPA running around and working their workers to the bone, Of course, they're able to produce anime with supreme levels of animation. I believe in the grand scale, this has led to unrealistic expectations when it comes to adaptability of manga. Manga readers know this story. They know the plot, so the one thing that they can get from an adaptation of a manga is to see animation, sound design, and voice acting, all of which I personally think, within Sakamoto Days, is really quite good, with exception to its animation. The animation isn't amazing, but it's still fucking good. People are saying it's actively bad, and they're just being unrealistic. I made a video discussing the topic in general, so if that is something you're interested in, please have a quick pick it up. So the situation with Solo Leveling wasn't dissimilar to Sakamoto Days, where Sakamoto's Days had writing, creativity, and an interconnected cast. Solo Leveling had the one thing Sakamoto Days apparently didn't, which was good animation, especially in its second season. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but you're just an avid hater if you say season 2 of Solo Leveling doesn't have any merit. Sound design, character design, and animation are just superb. It's just an upset. It's just true. And the writing itself has gotten better. It's still not amazing or great, but we have two narratives running side by side. A roster of casts that we're getting decent development with. Sure, it's mainly just setting up for what seems to be the third season, and we'll see how the third season handles its writing in the future. But what changed for me? Why did I think season 2 was actually quite good, and I couldn't even finish season 1? There's two reasons, and the first being expectation. As I said before, I was having a pretty good time with Solo Leveling season 1. There was parts that I genuinely quite enjoyed, until I felt the anime betrayed me and my trust, and brought the narrative in a completely different direction, a much more unsatisfying direction, in my opinion. And I still stand by that, by the way. However, when I go to season 2, I didn't have that expectation anymore. I knew what Solo Leveling was going to become, and didn't expect or even hope for the writing to get better, or go in a direction that I personally preferred. I knew what I was getting: power fantasy slop. And because of that, I loved it. This must be how your mammy feels, right? When she's watching Keeping Up the Kardashians. Just mindless content that's just unbelievably easy to consume. I realized, when it comes to the general stories I tend to enjoy, I had become infatuated creativity in writing far more than animation. However, that's an inherent bias to what I personally enjoy on an emotional level. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not my vibe. And that's what got me thinking about Sakamoto Days. Sure, there's an vocal minority of manga readers not liking the anime and voicing said opinion. But the animation wasn't perfect, and that's just true. They had a point. I started thinking of anime more like a triangle. One corner being creativity, another corner being writing, and the third corner being animation. In terms of adaptation, these three things are the most important. Everything else is being laid down by the manga or the mangaka. It's all about how you can interpret their material into the anime and deliver something hopefully new for manga readers while also keeping things solid for new viewers. After all, you have a source material to learn from. You have to pay almost perfect homage to the source material. However, creativity is a way for you to explore the themes and styles and expand them into using sound effects and creative visuals. Look at Mob Psycho 100, for example. That anime would have nothing to its name without the vibrant and creative use of color. Manga is inherently different from video media, so writing is really important to know where to ride the line between what's exact to the pages of the manga and what will actually work and look better on screen in a long form video structure. And finally, animation. Manga is simply static. You have to do the legwork to fill in the blanks between each panel. Sometimes in conversation, you don't. You can follow the panels line for line if you want to. However, in fight scenes and action scenes, this is a whole different story. Unless you're reading something like Berserk, it's quite hard to see the exact movements of a character when reading the manga. This gives the mangaka some space and saves a lot of their time. With animation, there's no guesswork left on the viewer. It's all placed on the animators themselves. The animators have to add additions of movement to make the scenes feel organic and fluid and realistic. These three core values are the entire reason why anime needs to exist, to offer another medium to consume the same media. In the case of Sakamoto Days and Solo Leveling, they both have two corners of this pyramid. And even though they don't have the whole thing, that's totally fine. At the end of the day, both Solo Leveling and Sakamoto Days had their struggles in adaptation. One suffered from inconsistent animation, but had a strong foundation of good writing and creativity. The other had stunning animation, but lacked depth in its characters and storytelling. What changed for me wasn't necessarily the anime itself. Solo Leveling didn't suddenly become a masterpiece, but I learned to appreciate it for what it was rather than what I wanted it to be. It's junk food anime, flashy, fun, and easy to digest. And that's fine. Not every show needs to be some groundbreaking renovation to storytelling. I don't think it's going to win any anime awards, nor do I think it even should. However, it serves a purpose and has its place on the anime shelf. I just need to stop holding it to narrative qualities that it isn't even designed to compete with. And how can I even complain about the narrative quality of an anime when I spend a lot of my time just watching YouTube videos or challenge runs, stuff that has very literal narrative quality to it, and yet I still watch hundreds of hours of it. I just expect too much from the medium of anime at whole. And to be honest, I was just kind of spoiled, honestly. So yeah, I didn't know how good I had it.